Happy Democracy Nigeria. Welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Hamza Idris. President Bola Tinubu says the removal of fuel subsidy will free up collective use of much needed resources which had hitherto been pocketed by a few rich. The president spoke on Monday on the public holiday which commemorates June 12, which was designated as Democracy Day in 2018 by the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Tinubu urged Nigerians to bear the burden in order to save the country from going under and take the country's resources away from the stranglehold of a few unpatriotic elements. Have a look.
There's nothing like that.
June 12 was designated a public holiday to remember the struggles to reclaim the mandate of Moshood Abiola, who has been acknowledged as winning the annulled 1993 elections. It took 25 years before a federal government in Nigeria could admit to the disservice done to the winner of the elections, which was annulled by the military junta of President Ibrahim Babangida. Abiola died in government custody, struggling to reclaim his mandate, and ironically, 30 years after the annulment, one of those in the vanguard of the struggle is the President of Nigeria. It is ironical because the legitimacy of President Tinubu is being challenged in court. However, the President believes this is a process that will strengthen democracy.
It is only natural that even as those who won and experienced victory in various elections are elated and fulfilled, those who lost are disenchanted and disappointed. But the beauty of democracy is that those who win today can lose tomorrow, and those who lose today will have an opportunity to compete and win in the next rounds of election.
Another thing that will strengthen democracy is a vibrant judiciary that can be trusted to deliver justice and strengthen institutions. This is why Tinubu says the bill to harmonize retirement age for judicial officers was recently signed into law.
For Chief MKO Abiola, the symbol of this day, in whose memory June 12 became a national holiday, democracy is eternal. It is about rule of law and vibrant judiciary that can be trusted to deliver justice and strengthen institutions. It has become imperative to state here that unnecessary illegal orders issued to truncate or abridge democracy will no longer be tolerated.
But the elephant in the room is the removal of fuel subsidy, which the president acknowledges has brought additional pain to the people.
I admit the decision will impose extra burden on the masses of our people. I feel your pain. This is one decision we must bear to save our country from going under.
This year's cycle of elections were the seventh in what the president describes as a sacred ritual of democratic practice since 1999. From the federal capital, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
On the program tonight, we are joined by a seasoned journalist and public affairs analyst, Ismail Omipidan. Omipidan served as the chief press secretary to the immediate past governor of Osun State, Boyega Oyetola. He also covered the National Assembly for a very long time, so we are going to discuss quite a number of issues with him. He joins us, of course, as I said, to dissect Tinubu's Democracy Day speech, expectations ahead of inauguration, among others. Congratulations on Happy Democracy Day, Mr. Ismail.
Thank you very much. Happy Democracy Day to Nigerians.
And welcome to our program, Daily Politics on Trust TV.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. Viewers, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Welcome back. Yes, Mr. Ismail, 2018 was the year that, Democracy Day was changed from 29th May to June 12th, right? But it's like the aura of this year's celebration a bit different from what we witnessed last year and the year before. Why do you think so?
Well, I think this is the very first time, apart from the brief stay of the late Umar Musa Yar'Adua and Goodluck Jonathan. I think this is the very first time that we were having a complete civilian, not just a civilian, but someone who was part of the struggle to enthrone democracy, part of the struggle to validate the June 12 struggle, being in the saddle of governance in the country.
So more or less, Tinubu sees this as part and parcel of him.
Yes, in fact, incidentally, I was going through some of my articles, and I stumbled on the one I did in 2017.
Okay.
And in the release issued by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2017, in one of those statements, it said that it will get to a point in Nigeria when we will remember June 12, when we will put aside religion and other sentiments to vote for personalities in this country. And look at it, barely 6 years after that statement, here we are today having a Muslim as a president, a Muslim as a vice president. I am sure 7 years ago, nobody thought this day will ever happen.
Even though we had it in 1993, right?
Yeah,
exactly 30 years when the symbol of democracy, as they now describe Abiola, with Ambassador Babagana Kingibe, both of them Muslims, one from Borno, the other one from...
And incidentally, the current vice president is from Borno. The only difference is that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not from Ogun State.
And you can see it's exactly 3 decades, 1993, 2003.
And if you remember, in 2015, there was an attempt to try a Muslim ticket.
Between
Muhammadu Buhari and even Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But even before it took off, there were a series of crises.
Will it have been symbolic, assuming it happened in 2015, as it is now?
I don't think it would have been as symbolic as what we have today, because you see, in fact, it was while we were preparing for elections last year, I went somewhere. I didn't even address my mind to the fact that by 2023 it would be exactly 30 years when that attempt was made. It was the speaker, who was making the calculation and made reference to that fact that, look, by 2023 it would be exactly 30 years since that attempt was, tried, and for me, I think the figure makes it more symbolic than any other thing.
Yeah, one thing that many Nigerians are really asking is, they don't even know of 1993. I'm talking about the voting population. Look at the number of youths that voted during this election. They were not really aware of what happened in 1993. Of course, you and I were fully part of it. Of course, from a distance a bit, but we knew what really happened. What will you say about 1993?
Well, I remember I was in Otukpo in 1993. I just left secondary school in 92. And so I was very, very conversant with the issues and the events. That, in fact, I think I was... we were in the library discussing when stories started flying around that the election had been, annulled. And at first, nobody knew the implication of what just happened, until the day the late MKO Abiola took the bull by the horn to declare himself as the
as president,
as the president-elect. I think that was the beginning of the crisis that led into Ibrahim Babangida stepping aside eventually. And after stepping aside, we had
Abacha.
Ernest Shonekan.
Okay, Ernest Shonekan for interim government.
Yes, and less than 3 months, we just had one. Abacha was going to take over. And you see, for some of us who followed the trend of the events, we knew, in fact, till today, until IBB tells us otherwise, till date, some of us still believe that Abacha was deliberately left behind to scuttle that government. Because he knew Abacha very well.
Yes.
You know, and he knew his capacity.
Yes.
You know, so if he was really, really interested in nurturing that interim government,
exactly,
he would have taken Abacha with him, so that the two of them could have stepped aside.
Because they had reached the apex of their career.
So people believe very strongly that IBB deliberately left Abacha behind to.
And that was why he said, maybe I will step aside. He said, okay, I'm resigning, or we are resigning.
And I was going to step aside.
You forced me to recollect what Festus Keyamo, you know, he also, I think, participated in some of the struggle, where he said he actually mocked IBB and Obasanjo by, of course, we all call IBB evil genius.
Yeah.
He now said it again. But he called them out, that he was really happy they are alive to see this day. He called today full cycle. Why do you think he called it full cycle?
Yeah, you know, because of the struggles we've had to go through. And let me say, with all sense of modesty, I think I will commend IBB very greatly.
Okay.
Because since he stepped aside, he has never done anything, nor made utterances that was capable of, you know, igniting violence or crisis. Unlike our Baba Obasanjo,
you
know, who always takes every opportunity that doesn't favor, you know, whatever he believes in,
right? Yes.
or his interest to, you know, create on it. If you remember, IBB attempted to run in 2007.
Yeah.
You know, and from what some of us were privy to, there was a kind of arrangement between him and Obasanjo, you know, that he was going to run in 2007.
Can you imagine?
But, you know, Obasanjo, the type of person he is, he encouraged all the so-called IBB boys, including Aliu Gusso, if you recall, to go and pick form. And so IBB felt that, look, if he was running for a position and Aliu Gusso had decided to, you know, throw his heart into the same ring, that the best thing for him to do was to, you know, give up. You know, IBB never contested in that primary.
Yeah.
You know, he left it, you know, for
because
them.
he realized that it was a booby trap.
Yeah, but if it were Obasanjo, I'm sure Obasanjo wouldn't take that kind of, you know, position. So for me, I think if you ask me, I will give IBB a part, you know.
What about Obasanjo?
Well, you see, my worry about Obasanjo, don't forget that whatever challenges we have today, as far as democratic governance is concerned, Obasanjo created it.
Wow.
You know? Because, you see, he came in 1999 and he was given that position on the platter. Yes. He had every opportunity to put this country on the right footing, you know, but he played some kind of politics that were not necessary. And again, if we blame him too, we must also blame the players, because, you know, from the time they made him believe that he could, you know, appoint Senate president, that was where we missed it. Yeah. Don't forget, he ran against Ekwueme. Himself and Ekwueme contested for that position. Now, some persons will now argued that to compensate Ekwueme be made the Senate president. And apparently they discussed with Obasanjo, and Obasanjo had to invite Ekwueme and telling him that he will make him, you know, the Senate president. Oh, you know, so it was from that time we missed it. Under Obasanjo spent 8 years as president. For that 8 years, all the states in the southeast, one after the other, produced Senate president.
All the five?
All the five. One after the other, produce Senate
Was
president.
it a calculated attempt, or maybe it was just maybe...
You know, Obasanjo can be very dictatorial sometimes. You know, so the moment he believes that you are not towing
his path,
you know, his path, he comes after you. You know, at the beginning, we had Ewerem. Then Vice President Atiku Abubakar had preference for Okadigbo.
Yeah.
Now, Obasanjo felt that Okadigbo would be too tough for him to handle. So he went for Ewerem. Now, to make it possible, he had to play ethnic card with the AD senators. You know, he approached the AD senators on the need to, support him. So together with the AD senators, team up with some PDP senators, and that was how AWRM emerged. Now, they were going into a convention. PDP was going into a convention to elect a new national chairman.
Yeah.
Late Awoni appears to be the most favored to get that position. And Obasanjo felt that, look, if Awoni becomes the party chairman, he is likely going to deal with him. So the Atiku camp now said, well, you can't have Senate president and still have national chairman. So if you want us to trade off Awoni, then be prepared to relinquish the Senate presidency. I think shortly before the PDP convention, because Awoni had gone to seek Obasanjo's blessing that he wanted to run.
Yeah.
And Obasanjo told him that, you are Yoruba, I'm Yoruba.
Yes.
How can I be president and you be the national chairman? And Awoni told him that, no, I'm a northerner from Kogi. And Obasanjo laughed that, no.
you can't run away from your roots.
So from then it was clear that Obasanjo wasn't going to support Awoni. So AWRM was sacrificed for Kadibo to come in so that they can be able to defeat Awoni from becoming the national chairman of...
and when they did that, he also went for the jugular.
Of course, you should trust Obasanjo.
Now, Keyamo, this is what he said about Obasanjo. He said, today being June 12, 2023, which is exactly 30 years after the 1993 election, one of the most faithful political soldiers of the winner of that annual election, Chimabuike Abiola, has just addressed the nation as president and commander-in-chief. He said, God Almighty, in his wisdom, also deemed it fit to preserve the life of two men to see this day. One is the evil genius who annulled the election, and two is Abiola's kinsman from Ota who supported the annulment and has tried to play God in the affairs of our nation. I think you summarize.
Yeah,
what Keyamo wanted to say.
Obasanjo, from what we see, from the way he even tried to scuttle the last election that brought in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it appears that he doesn't want any Yoruba man to attain the height he has attained as far as...
But why? Why?
Well,
what is the problem?
Is
it ego or he feels that if not him, nobody from that part of the country?
If you read some of his works, and if you follow his politics very well, if you follow the way he behaves, you know that he's this type that want people to believe that unless they are somewhere, things cannot, will never go well. Things can never work well.
Now, how do you think?
Unfortunately for them, God in his infinite wisdom has shown to them that, look, with or without them, things will work. Because Obasanjo never believed that a Buhari will get a second time in 2019.
Exactly.
And Obasanjo never believed that Tinubu will emerge as president in the just concluded presidential election. So, for me, I pray he realizes, some of his missteps and quickly retraces it, because it's on the departure lounge now, and once you get to a certain age, you are in the departure lounge, you are not supposed to be doing...
You have to be retrospective.
Yeah, things that ordinarily will continue to make people see you in bad light.
Why do you think many Nigerians see Tinubu as actually the compensation for the annulment of June 12, rather than Obasanjo, who was there, over 24 years, right?
No, you see, Obasanjo was a military man when all this happened.
Yeah.
And don't forget, even when some of us were still, agitating for revalidation of June 12, he told us that Abiola was not a hero. You remember?
Said,
yeah. So if you go and read most of the things he said, and there were several attempts to make him recognize June 12 as Democracy Day. The only reason why Obasanjo refused, to recognize June 12 as Democracy Day was because he doesn't want to give that due credit.
Oh my God.
To those who deserve, that, acknowledgement. He made every attempt to erase June 12 from our history.
Completely.
Unfortunately, God has a way of doing things, because nobody would ever have imagined that it is a Buhari that will come, even though some people claim it was for political reasons. And I remember I did a piece and I said, look, whether it's for political reasons,
for moral, or for whatever
it is, the mere fact that he recognized that fact, he must be commended for it. And he did. It will go down in history that it was a Buhari that recognized June 12 as our democracy.
So many similarities between Abiola, of course, and Tinubu. Number one, 1993, 2023. Exactly
30 years.
30 years. And Abiola was an accountant.
Yeah, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also an accountant.
And they say that Abiola was a businessman. Tinubu
is also a businessman
and an investor. They also said Tinubu is a generous giver. Abiola, a philanthropist. Also a generous giver.
If you go to the north today, I think apart from Asiwaju Bola, apart from the late MK Abiola, one single southerner that has continued, to spread the wealth Allah has given him across the Niger is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, we were discussing this one time in the newsroom, and they said Tinubu remains the single individual that he can call big men in almost all the 36 states of the federation. I say, okay, I want you to do so, and so. And they won't even ask maybe the cost implication. They will go ahead and do that.
Yeah, you see, for instance, in 2015, we had, the second time Shettima was elected, the current vice president, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, was elected governor in 2011 and went into election in 2015 for his second term. Now around 2017, 18 or so, we're discussing about, 2023, praying that if Allah spares our life. And he said, look, that he would give whatever it takes to support Tinubu's presidential ambition. That because it was the grace of Allah and Tinubu that made him go the second time. Don't forget that he was going into a second time election when APC was formed.
Yes.
There was crisis between him and Ali Modu Sharif.
Serious one.
Serious one. And you see, when they were preparing the principles guiding the APC, some persons, around Ali Modu Sharif were pushing for ex-governors to take control of their states.
Yes.
And he had himself in mind. He had Asiwaju in mind. And Asiwaju said, look, there's no point contesting for position of leadership of a party in the state. That must not be included in the...
Wow, Tinubu said that?
Yeah, he said so, and that was how... And when it was clear that Sharif was willing to do a battle with His Excellency Shettima, then Tinubu gave him the full support. And out of frustration,
he gave
Shettima the full support, and out of frustration, Ali Modu Sharif had to defect to PDP, if you remember, when he promised Jonathan
it's like,
that he was going to deliver.
You're opening a new vista of, many people are not aware because they thought Tinubu-Shettima relationship was just ahead of the 2023 election.
No. As a matter of fact, I remember very clearly that the first time, I don't know if you had discussed it with anybody, but the first time we discussed about the possibility of a Muslim ticket was in January 2019. And
with Shettima.
Yes, and what he told me then was that he wasn't too sure if the thing was going to fly. But that because of what Tinubu has done to him in his life, that he was ready to sacrifice his own ambition so that Tinubu can be president of Nigeria. January 2019.
Which ambition? Is it to become president he himself, or actually to team up with any
at that point,
potential candidate?
At that point, some persons were already encouraging him to either run for the presidency or team up with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes.
Now, when he said he was going to sacrifice his ambition, is to say that, okay, instead of insisting that he must be the one, once they see that it's not feasible, he will give way. And allow
for a Christian maybe from the north
and allow somebody. But you see, a study was commissioned, and the study was done like 3-4 times, and we realized that most times Nigeria don't bother about the fate of their leader. All they are bothered about is basic amenities, and it was the result of those studies that gave us the encouragement that look, this thing could work, and we have tried it. And it showed clearly that he can work.
That Nigerians, beyond the rhetorics of the politicians,
most times
they don't have really serious attachment.
No, they don't have attachment
trivial
to
issues.
Trivial issues. They don't have. You see, and go and look at it. Most people who play up religion are people who lack capacity, are people who are grossly incompetent and have nothing to offer.
And at the end of the day, they rarely get it. Another comparison here I have, Abiola had 8,309 votes, while Tinubu had 8,794, 726. Abiola's campaign slogan was Hope 93. Tinubu's campaign slogan, Renewed Hope. Look, what is really happening? What is really happening?
No, you see, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was very much involved in the 1993 election.
Okay.
Don't forget he was elected senator in 1992 under the Social Democratic Party.
SDP, that is Abiola's party.
Abiola's party. And in fact, there was a picture I saw as I was coming to the studio where I saw Abiola, I saw Abacha, and behind them was Asiwaju Bola Ahmed.
Yeah, the photos are actually flying since yesterday.
You know, so that is to tell you that it was neck deep in those processes. And apart from that, if you look at his trajectory, he has remained one of the most consistent politicians in our recent political history. He has never, just like his VP too, when Kashim came into politics in 2007, and from that 2007, he has always remained within the same political party.
No defection. No double first.
He came in EMPP. When EMPP decided to join hands with other like minds to form APC, he has remained in APC. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu started in AD. When AD metamorphosed into AC, he was there. When he metamorphosed into ACN, he was there. When it metamorphosed into APC, he has remained consistent. You know, so for people like that, God in His infinite mercy has a way of even rewarding them, for their struggles.
Borno, Lagos, the longest distance, I think.
But incidentally, there has always been a relationship between Borno and Lagos. If you remember, the Lagos House. The Lagos House in Borno, from what we learned, it was under Jakande that Mohamed Goni took, was it a loan or so, to put up that place. Wow. So there has always been that relationship. Remember when there was a problem in GMPP that brought in Mohamed Goni during his first time, he defected to UPS.
Yes.
When Alhaji Malaka Chala, may so rest in peace.
Exactly.
When there was crisis in APP, then he defected to AD. So there has been that relationship, between Lagos and Borno.
Very interesting. Maybe you have this retentive memory because you served for many years. In Borno as a journalist. Anyway, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, the conversation will continue. Viewers, don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. I still have Ismailo Amipidani. He's a journalist and public affairs analyst and former chief press secretary to the former Osun State Governor, Adeboyega Oyetola. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, sir.
And actually, this reminds me of what we expected, or many Nigerians expected, that will happen immediately after the swearing in of President Tinubu, because your former boss, or still he's still your boss, Oyetola, that he will most likely be the chief of staff. His name has been mentioned severally. What really happened? They also mentioned Feleke. They mentioned, of course, the man that got it, Gbajabiamila. Yeah.
Well, you see, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are all alive. You see, in fairness to my principal, Adeboyega Oyetola, he never for one day lobbied for that position.
Are you sure?
Well, Allah knows. And in fact, all those who even made effort, what happened was this. We never thought we would ever lose our case to return to Osun. And so throughout the election, our eyes were on the ball. In fact, I know for a fact that there were at some point, even my principal had to put in words for Gbajabiamila.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm very much aware. I'm very much aware. He had to put in words, so, you know. But shortly, once we lost the case at the Supreme Court,
yeah.
Suddenly, some person started saying that, look, I think this man's personality will fit the chief of staff, blah blah blah, and they just started.
And no stories were planted or whatever.
No, we didn't. In fact, if you see when some of our zealous aides of Gbaja were flying stories up and down, I'm sure you didn't see my hand anywhere. If it were something that we really lobbied for, I would have come out full blast.
You will have put
I will come out
your
full
arsenals,
blast and put everybody, because we didn't lobby for it. It was some person who just felt that, look, they believe that this man fits the bill. And up till, I don't know of today, but up to yesterday, my principal and the president had never even spoken about it. That is to tell you that.
And how close? Of course, people say they are cousins and whatever, but how close are they politically now?
No, they are very, very close. And I recall when the president came to Osun, when he was consulting, seeking for a position, he stated this in Osun, and he repeated it before some APC governors in Abuja. He said when he was going on exile, that all his properties that he put in the hands of people, that the only person who gave him details of his property from beginning to the end was Adegboyega Oyetola, and nothing missed from what he handed over. But others sold
many thoughts of them that he will not even come back.
He will not, he will never return. So if you talk about trust, he has absolute trust in Adegboyega Oyetola.
But of course, you won at the election petition tribunal. I mean, you lost at the petition tribunal.
No, we won at the tribunal.
Yeah, you won exactly. You lost at the
appeal court.
Yes, and then at the Supreme Court. Yeah. Why is it that politicians are somehow fixated with courts? Is it that you were not defeated? Anyway.
Well, you see, in our own case, and because the presidential election is still at the tribunal, I won't want to speak too much on it.
Yeah,
in fact,
of course.
I'm writing a book. In our own case, we went to the court, one, to also deepen our democracy. Because don't forget, it was the Beavers
exactly.
and the 2022 Electoral Act that was signed into law was what was used in Osun.
Yeah.
And I think it was signed into law, I think about 2 or 3 months before the Osun election.
Exactly.
So invariably, it was in Osun
testing ground.
That was a testing ground for that. So we felt that certain things were not, properly done, and we approached the court, to challenge it. But like lawyers will say, even if you are not satisfied with what the Supreme Court decides,
to the Supreme Court, they call it Kotun Allah Isa.
Yeah, you take your appeal to God.
All right, appeal to God. Now, the biggest elephant in the house, as they said, is what will happen tomorrow. You covered the National Assembly for a very long time. What is your take on the contests, especially the Senate, because that is where we have the biggest trouble.
Yeah, I think there is nothing that is happening with regards to the Senate presidency that has never happened before. I think the only difference between what is happening now and what perhaps happened in 2015 is the fact that we do not have any member of the opposition eyeing either the Senate presidency or deputy Senate presidency,
as we
had in 2015. So for the Senate presidency, I think the contest is going to be a very hot one between Yari and Akpabio.
Who are behind Yari? Because at the time he wasn't really a force to reckon with.
You see, senators, don't let me say senators. Legislators generally are very funny.
Okay.
I've attended most of their events.
While reporting.
Yes, I've attended most of their meetings. If 2 of you are gunning for a position, if one of you cage them in this house now,
Yes.
and if any of them is still interested in the other person outside,
Yes.
Somebody will just take permission that he wants to go and ease himself after maybe collecting something here, and they will go there.
Oh my
so
God.
sometimes if you are not careful, they will go for the highest bidder.
Oh.
Sometimes, but I believe that since the APC, that is the majority party, has told its members what they want, I want to see how the party will enforce a party discipline. Because, in the time of Shagari, I was still very young, but I read a lot about what transpired then.
The national chairman, how powerful.
National chairman
was more powerful than the president when it comes to party affairs.
And you see, that's another minus for Obasanjo's administration. It was Obasanjo who destroyed whatever is left of party discipline. When he believes that as the president, he can remove any governor with fiat, he can remove any party chairman with fiat. So people now stop, deferring to party leadership. They now look up to either the governor of the state or Mr. President.
Yeah.
You understand? So I want to see how, because early enough, the party told its members where it was going. Unlike what we had previously, where they will be guessing. They say they don't know what the president wants, they don't know what the party leadership wants. The party leadership came out early enough to tell party members, this is where we are going. So I want to see how
they are going to respond.
And if eventually Yari carries out his threat by not only contesting and even probably going ahead to win the contest, I want to see...
Are there possibilities to that effect?
No, there are.
Going by what's happening.
In politics, 24 hours is a long time.
Yes.
24 hours is a long period. So up to yesterday, he was still a very strong contender in the race. But by 12 a.m. today, anything could happen.
As a political reporter, who are really behind him? And have you heard what the vice president said? That he was ready as of yesterday, that he can kneel down to, meaning that they are demoralized.
Yes,
they are really...
I understand his feelings. I understand, his predicament. Some persons are already trying to blackmail the party, that they want to put people of one faith in all the positions. They have already started quoting for you that the CJN is a Muslim. So the party in its own wisdom is trying to see how it could balance it. So for me, if Yari eventually emerges, nobody should blame it on either the president or the vice president, because they have done what they needed to do to ensure that it does not happen.
Why was it easier to? Because initially, I am also a political reporter like you. Initially, I thought it will be tougher in the House of Representatives. What magic? Maybe we will call a clip to have a look at what Shettima said when I think Betara and Gagdi, gave up. Yeah, yes, actually. Yeah. Let's have a look.
Accepted to step down and endorse the candidature of Honorable Tajudeen Abbas for the speakership of the Federal House of Representatives. The President was quite touched by their gesture, because what binds us together is superior to whatever that divides us. We are one big APC family, and together we shall cross the Rubicon on Tuesday. We cannot thank them enough for their graciousness, and I want to commend the roles played by the Chief of Staff to Mr. President, by His Excellency the Executive Governor of Niger State, by the leadership of the party, here represented by the Deputy National Chairman, North. I think our party members will give a sigh of relief.
Yes, Mr. Smith, that was Vice President Kashi Shettima.
Yeah, this was easier. This was easier because one, for me, Betara appears to be the strongest contender
Okay.
You know, with Dr. Tajuddin that the party wants. And so, and you know, better is from Bruno. And so the VP had to work on him very seriously. Then Bahago, His Excellency, the current governor of Niger State,
yes.
you know, until he stepped down for Gbajabiamila 4 years ago, it was not too clear if Gbajabiamila was going to make it.
He was also a strong,
very strong.
It was
a strong.
Like better this time around.
Now they were able to do this in the House because the Speaker, that is outgoing, who is the current Chief of Staff to Mr. President, is also backing Dr. Tajuddin.
Okay.
Unlike the Senate President, His Excellency Ahmed Lawa, is not in support of Akpabio.
Is it an allegation or you are sure?
It's not an allegation, I'm very sure.
Wow.
I'm very sure.
The Senate President is not in support.
But
why?
Well, they have one of the charges against Akpabio was that he disparaged the
sanctity
of the National Assembly, you know. But Akpabio has come out to say that it was because he didn't support his bid for the presidency during the primaries, you know. So that tells you that between them, there is something amiss, you know. So because the president, if the president were to be in full support of Akpabio's ambition, it would have been easier for them. Let me take you back to 2015.
Yes.
Senator Madu was backing Saraki. Senator David Mark was backing Ahmed Lawa.
Yes.
And at the time, Mark was the sitting Senate President.
Yes.
Now, to resolve that knotty issue, PDP had to converge on Mark's house to do a late night meeting where they now decided to go into ballot to decide who to support. So eventually, those who were for Saraki were more in number than, because Mark too had to take it on Saraki because Saraki was among those who connived in 2007 to bring up Akume, a first-timer, to contest against David Mark. You know, so by 2015, David Mark felt that it was a payback time.
Yes.
You know, so it was very difficult to get David Mark to back
interesting dynamics, Ismail. So, how is it going to be resolved from your estimation as someone who actually covered the National Assembly for a very long time?
For me, if Yari does not step down, it can go that way.
Wow.
Yeah. And if Akpabio will win with what is on ground and Yari goes into the contest, the difference in vote might not be more than 3 or 4. It will not be like 2007 when Mark defeated Akume by a margin of, I think, close to 15 or 20-something votes.
Yeah.
You know, it will also not be like 2019 where Ahmed Lawa had a clinical, you know, defeat over Ndume.
Yeah.
From what I am seeing, this is going to be a tough, but like I said, 24 hours is a long period in politics.
Yes, we had it here and there that President Tinubu is fully aware of this grand plan by some elements to actually make it very tough for him.
Yeah, you see, it's tough because Zamfara, where Yari comes from, the APC has no governor there.
Yes.
It is the PDP that is in control there. And incidentally, the PDP governor in Zamfara is a Yari's man.
Wow. Dauda
It's Yari's man, you know. So, and Matawale, even though they tried to resolve the crisis between him and Yari, from what played out in the election, it's like Yari did not completely forgive him.
It's really dicey.
So it's dicey. But if you ask me, I will appeal to Yari to learn from Akume. You know, when Akume showed interest in the Senate President in 2015, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu told him to please
tarry,
that they are supporting, you know, Ahmed Lawa. And look at him today.
SGF.
It's SGF.
Very powerful.
So
and he didn't miss out.
From what I know of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is one man that does not forget any good done to him, no matter how little it is. And once there is time to pay you back, he will certainly pay you back.
I am tempted to say that you are more of a politician now than the fierce journalist I know you, Ismail, because you know, maybe if you review some of your interviews before you took a political position in Osun, you wouldn't have said what you said now, because it's like you're towing the path of the powerful forces, government, instead of saying, why not the president allow the legislators to do what they think is better for them?
You see, let us stop deceiving ourselves.
Okay.
All over the world, the president, look, the legislator has a role to play in making or destroying the government. And you see, such a president should not have interest in who heads the legislator. It's not possible, except we want to deceive ourselves. It's just like you asking a publisher, who though is not a journalist, but who sets up a media house, and you say you should not have interest in who becomes the editor of the newspaper house. Subhanallah. You want to destroy the paper, Kenai. That's the truth. So he must necessarily show interest, you know, but the type of interest he's showing is not the type that others did in the past. You know, others in the past is like a directive. Like
Obasanjo.
Yeah, if you don't do, for instance, if it were under Obasanjo, by now, they would have arrested Yari.
Well, but
and put him somewhere.
He is still alleging, and people around him also alleging that there is this likelihood that anything can happen. Because we have about 12 or 14 hours to go to the polls.
I don't think so. And if he's afraid that they will arrest him, he should apply the Saraki style.
To go to the basement and wait.
Go to National Assembly.
While they were at the International Conference Center.
He's already at the National Assembly. So I don't think with the speeches of President Tinubu and with what I know of him, I don't think you want to apply any extrajudicial power.
More so, you know, he has procured order from the court that DSS, police,
in the past, they don't respect orders. You and I know. Whether you have order or you don't have order, whatever they want to do, they will do it.
How can the president, how can he get it right now by the time he's able to resolve the National Assembly? What do you think he should face first? I'm asking this question because of your background, someone who covered partly Boko Haram, you know, before you left.
Yeah.
I know, and you know the Northeast very well. Yeah. And you've been in Kaduna, which is also, you know, a serious battleground now. In terms of insecurity.
Well, I think after settling down, the first thing the president must tackle is the issue of security. And
I can see he's speaking more of economy.
Well, you know, because there are also some philosophers who believe that we have insecurity because of bad economy. You know, because of you know, high level of poverty, the fact that people lack things to do. You know, probably that is where it's coming from. But you see, we must also stop this rhetorics of centralization of our policing system. The truth is that the world over, Nigeria is the only country saying it is practicing federalism or federal system of government and maintaining unitary policing system.
It's a contradiction.
It's a contradiction. It has never worked and it will never work.
And you hope
and
that
I know that President Tinubu has always been one of the strong advocates of state police. Thank God to most of our northern governors who initially were fiercely opposed to the idea of state policing have now embraced it. So let us come to a round table and see how our policing system can be decentralized. Because you see, whatever gain we make of the fight against Boko Haram in Borno, if we had no civilian JTF, we probably would not have recorded those feats. And so right. I believe very strongly that we need state policing system if we must confront headlong the security challenge facing us in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. I wish we have more time. Mr. Ismail Obipidan, a journalist, public affairs analyst, and a politician. Am I correct?
No, I'm not yet a politician. I'm a professional working with politicians.
All right. Thank you very much for coming to our program and for your informed perspective. Hoping to have you again very soon.
Inshallah.
All right. And viewers, that's a wrap of today's program. Thanks for watching and do join us again. I'm Hamza Idris.